Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Untempered. I am so excited about this episode because things are going to be different from now. So, I basically thought I knew what I was doing, and apparently I didn't. Have you ever related to this? Hear me out. Have you ever started a project super passionately and you had just every goal and intention in the world to absolutely perfect it, ace it, and that is just what you wanted to pour your entire heart out in? Yes, I did exactly that. The only thing is, I did a little thing that is, well, I guess human, but I started to get redirected into other places. And those places weren't even a different place from podcasting, from my goal, from what I wanted to start, from the project that I initially started. Those places were perfection. They were overcomplicating. They were trying to be like everybody else. They were comparing myself to others and never feeling enough and wondering if what I'm doing is even right and if the topics that I'm talking about are what people want to listen to. And I completely spiraled for absolutely no reason except for what I was driving myself crazy about. And I took a few months off to kind of remind myself why I even started this and why I got here. And that was a whole new realm of thought that I didn't even know I needed to have. Like, I was just on the hamster wheel trying to create content, to create episodes every single week while being a single mother, while doing everything that I'm doing on the side and skydiving and training and doing everything all at once. And all of a sudden, I had a massive burnout. And the burnout didn't even look like a physical crash, it was actually a little bit worse. It was a mental crash. I got to a point where I forgot what I was even doing. I looked at myself and I looked at everything that was going on, and I was like, I should be really proud right now. I'm interviewing some of the most amazing guests out there. I don't understand where this comes from. Like, this is what everybody dreams of, right? I have over 1 million listens on Spotify, and all the numbers were pointing towards be proud of yourself. You're doing great. But deep down inside, I felt like I was part of a machine that everybody knew was about to break, and it was just a matter of time. It was like a ticking time bomb. And sure enough, the right before the summer, when we were just kind of like starting to think of season 4, and this is just me and the assistant I hired very momentarily because I thought I need help. I didn't realize that I wasn't even in a place to even delegate because I was so overwhelmed. And I started to realize that I became an interviewer, and I had to take myself a few steps back to remember why I even started this podcast. I started this podcast to be able to share my story because I have probably not had the best childhood. To share a little bit more about me, we're going into it straight away. We're going to get deep here. I hope you're ready. I don't even know if I would say I'd had a childhood. I think I had it very tough. I was basically left um, to my own devices really, really early. I had to fend for myself. My parents weren't there physically, emotionally, or financially. And so I basically had a life that was a blank canvas, and I had to, with no point of reference, had to basically sketch and color whatever I wanted of my life and basically create whatever I wanted to. There's a beautiful sense of freedom there when I say that. However, at the time, I was too young to see that as freedom. I didn't have the tools. I was not equipped by in any way, shape, or form to actually build the life that I wanted. I didn't actually really know what life I really wanted. So throughout the years, I have had to basically teach myself as if I was my own parent. I had to get myself out of shitty situations, many of them, many rock bottoms. And I lived in a country on my own. I was in the US by myself, and there was nobody there to basically have my back. So, why am I telling you this? Because I think although this is a great advantage because I get to kind of set up whatever life I wanted, this was the kind of adversity, if you want to call it, that actually also was just sometimes too hard to bear. And it left me with no point of reference to what I really wanted to do, which also meant that I was quite impressionable and just really wanted to fit in. Now, that's of course normal, and I'm totally compassionate with myself about that. However, I'm 34 years old now. I'm a single mom and I'm an athlete, and I have realized that I put way too much on my plate. And no matter what project that I want to start, I just go all in, but not in a healthy way. Basically, I go in the way I've always been living my life, which is extreme survival mode. Like that is how it's always been. I always feel like everything I even do has been just in a mindset of survival, which constantly puts me in this like scarcity mindset also that is added to that, which makes me always compare myself to others and be an extreme perfectionist. And I looked at my podcast and I was, although very proud of where I've come, I realized I need to take it back, many steps back, and just remember that I started this for little me. She wanted somebody to talk to, and she didn't have anybody to relate to her or talk to her or tell her that she's not alone. And I started this podcast because I wanted to be there for others. And I didn't care for the views or the likes or the subscriptions. I wanted to even have maybe one or two or three people who would just listen to it and feel like they're not alone and get any kind of good information from my podcast. And I wanted to do that by sharing my own story. So, as much as I love interviewing incredible minds and psychologists and um, all kinds of doctors, and I've been able to speak to amazing experts, I also want to be able to remember that this is a platform where I wanted to share my own stories. And I wanted a community of people who wanted to listen to those stories because they also needed to know that what they're going through is something that everybody else understands, that someone else has gone through, and that someone else has been able to reframe those hardships and turn them into something bigger and better and be able to grow themselves throughout all those hardships. I want to take it back there. I want to take it back straight to just us talking and me sharing stories and being able to tell you more and more about myself, and also be able to share with you stories about people I meet, personal anecdotes and personal stories of things that we all want to talk about. To give you a little idea of where I'm at right now, I'm a single mom. I live in Dubai. I'm from America. I'm originally from Lebanon. I'm Lebanese. I grew up in a place called Tripoli, but my father is American, so I've got the US passport, but I chose to live in Dubai. I have a little 4-year-old, and I'm a professional skydiver, and I'm a sponsored athlete, and that's also what I do on other than my podcasting. So I do have a lot going on, but this is so important to me, and I don't think anybody needs to lose the touch of who they truly are and the message that they've always wanted to carry and give to others. And this is something so common with social media. Like, we constantly want to be something else and we don't even know why. Because when I'm scrolling, even if I scroll for 10 minutes, and I know some people do it for hours, I'm constantly being told about and reminded about all the things that I am not. And it's so horrible for the brain. I mean, I literally feel like shit after looking at my phone or looking at Instagram or looking at TikTok. So I want to try to remove that from my life, and not completely because it's also part of my job, but just in a way where I can just not lose my voice. I'm seeing so many podcasters and so many creators right now, even using AI to create their captions, which is just really sad because we're all losing our voice. Like, there is just no human voice out there. And it's very hard to find somebody who is talking about something real and something authentic. Some people are even using authentic as a catchphrase or a trend, and trying to cry on camera and whatever it is. And it's like, look, if it comes as a natural moment, then great. But if it's just becoming a trend, then it's just so hard to find something real out there. My doorbell just rang. That was the Amazon delivery driver. And he did not look like he was having the best day. I just gave him some water and some snacks. And in Dubai, by the way, I urge you to do that because it's so sad. It's really hot outside, and um, employers don't pay staff enough. So, not trying to get political, but please tip your drivers and please give them some cold water. Anyway, I would love for you to be able to get something out of this episode. There's 3 things I want to share with you that I have done throughout this summer, where I took this 3-month break after a crazy burnout. And these are the most important things. The first thing is I started to realize that I need to be more compassionate with myself, compassionate with everything that I've been through. And same for you, whatever it is that you've been through that has formed your trauma and it feels like this is the basis of what makes you go back to this depressive state or this state where you start to self-deprecate and feel unworthy, the most important thing first before anything else is to learn to love yourself by being first compassionate with everything that you've been through. Sometimes I just have to look at life and just be like, you know what, that happened and that absolutely sucked. And I'm really strong for being able to endure that and get past it. And even though sometimes it comes back, it creeps up on me, I'm constantly clinging on to life and knowing that I have endured something very hard, but I choose to understand that it's a part of me, but it doesn't need to be a part of me anymore. So I think it's very important to actually shed the identity that we constantly walk around with. And if your identity is based on feeling like you're not enough because you grew up with a very difficult, strict parent, or you're in a culture or a religion that makes you feel like no matter what you do, you're never going to be enough for your community, I think it's important to actually notice that and meditate on it and understand that you just don't have to carry that identity with you. You really can work on understanding that that's maybe it was a part of you in the beginning, but it doesn't have to be a part of you anymore. My lighting is constantly changing. It's driving me crazy. I'm not a lighting expert. I've set this up in my house and I'm really trying to kind of keep it consistent, but bear with me. Another important thing is notice, what did this adversity in your life teach you about what you're really good at? Like, what is your power? And when I looked back, I realized, hey, all this terrible stuff that happened and all these feelings that I went through all my life from knowing that I was abandoned by my own parents, I realized that there's something actually beautiful about it, which was the fact that I can endure a lot and I have an immaculate amount of, an immense amount of endurance. And I actually took a moment to understand that and realize, like, no matter what happens, I am now equipped with an amount of endurance that could get me through anything. And there's something so beautiful about, instead of focusing on our negatives constantly, which I'm the queen of, is to just remember that there's something beautiful that came out of whatever horrible things have happened. And it's the fact that we can endure and we can hold on to that kind of identity. I can endure a lot. And no matter what it is, no matter what's going to come up, even if I go 100 steps back, even if I trip up, even if I get lazy and I don't know how to get back on track, I know that I will, because that's just what I do. I can endure, and so can you. The third thing is these limiting thoughts, and also the thoughts that keep us with that identity that we're trying to shed. For example, have you ever said, oh, one more drink won't hurt, or I'm fine, I don't need help? Which, by the way, is like the theme of trauma and the theme of survival. Have you ever said, oh, I'll just start this tomorrow? And then months have gone by and you just feel like you're still back in that identity of yours where you just don't feel enough and you don't feel worthy and you don't feel like people are going to listen to you or understand your project or even care about what you're going to present. But you just have to start. And the first way to do that is to be able to confront the identity that is with you and remember that it got you through those hard times, but you no longer need it anymore. I've had to look at a version of me as a kid through hypnotherapy. I did this. And I had to look at this version of me and go, thank you so much for protecting me, for getting me here, for keeping me strong. You were there at some point because you were needed to be there. But now I don't need you anymore. And thank you so much. I'm up, I'm going, and I'm running, and I'm finally here into a place where I don't need you. This is not going to serve me anymore. It is not going to get me to reach my higher self. And that's it. You could say that out loud to the mirror and just imagine the mirror breaking, a new version of you appearing. And sometimes you're going to have to do that many times. I'm not going to lie, this is not like a click of a finger and it's done. I mean, I've had to do this continuously, those three things. And every time I regressed, it's important to remember, it was important for me to remember that, look, this is the whole part of it. I have to keep repeating these new habits so that I can unlearn the old ones. Everything in our brain is a learned behavior, and literally everything we see is just perceived by what we think of ourselves. So if we keep thinking about ourselves as people who endure, people who don't need these identities that are holding them down, and people who are ready to become whoever they want to become and that they can, so why wouldn't we be able to get there? Thank you so much for listening. I really hope that you enjoy this kind of new approach. It's not really new, this is what it was always about. And I probably will still have interviews with some amazing guests because having this platform, it's such a privilege for me to be able to reach out to a guest and them to say yes. Like, I still can't believe that this is actually happening, but I also don't want to lose my voice. So thank you so much for listening. And I really hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, let me know. And if there's anything you want me to specifically share or talk about, please comment. I would love to talk to you guys.